Each arm, full range of motion. Always both sides. Any questions?
Yeah. Have you thought about how you're gonna tell your boyfriend you met someone else?
I'll show you how to get Mr. Lacoste ready for the day.
If you're not too busy.
Nah, me and Mags got this. Get to show her my sensitive side. It's best viewed unclothed and from behind.
Hammer time. Okay, Hart getting saucy right there.
There you have it. This is a remake of a French film from 2011 called The Untouchables. So the upside, it's actually the third remake. There was one from Argentina and India, respectively. It's about a quadriplegic billionaire, played by Bryan Cranston, who hires an ex-con, played by Kevin Hart, to be his live-in caregiver. And it really goes for the emotional impact. It tries to be earnest in its execution, and there is some interesting stuff under the surface here, especially with Kevin Hart trying to do some dramatic work. Unfortunately, though, it's just awash in cliches. The handling of its female characters leaves a lot to be desired, especially with Nicole Kidman, who has nothing to do with this mediocre script. And it's got the typical gags, you know, like Kevin Hart gets him high and then they go eat a bunch of hot dogs, or Bryan Cranston lets him take out one of his luxury cars. And we've seen this kind of stuff time and time again, so it feels really stale and dated. And speaking of which, this movie premiered at TIFF in 2017. It was slated for release last spring, but it was owned by the Weinstein Company. With the whole Harvey Weinstein scandal, it was effectively shelved, sold off to another company, and now it results in the January dumping grounds for film.
Any redeeming qualities for those that love Cranston and what he does on screen, or maybe the comedy of Kevin Hart?
They're both good together. I thought it was an interesting pairing, and it does try to hit those emotional beats and those buttons with a lot of themes, and it's well-intentioned for sure, but it is a mess, and it's got some serious pacing issues. My advice, check out the original instead.
Okay, the remake. It was only, what, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Gosh, 8 years ago, 2019. That's insane. All right.
Disappointing.
How many hammers?
2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay. Natalie Portman's back on the big screen.
What a crazy story. Okay, so she plays a school shooting survivor who becomes one of the world's biggest pop stars, battling her own issues in Vox Lux. Take a look.
But it's no secret that I'm on meds for my injury, and I never should have been behind the wheel of a car that night. Josie!
You know, I didn't mean to upset you by that.
I used to be treated like I was a hero, and then they start talking about me like I'm trailer trash. But that's what this show is about. It's about rebirth.
This is a really interesting film, and it's grounded by a commanding, fantastic performance from Portman. And Sia actually contributed a bunch of original songs for the movie, and the choreography was done by Natalie Portman's real-life husband, Benjamin Millepied. It's also narrated by Willem Dafoe, and Jude Law plays the manager here. Also, Raffi Cassidy, who's 16 years old. I loved her in that film Tomorrowland. She plays 2 roles in the movie. She plays the young version of Natalie Portman, and then plays Natalie Portman's daughter years later. So some really interesting stuff here, and I just thought it was great because I hadn't heard about a story like this in a long time, so it leaves a lot to unpack for sure.
Interesting plotline. Genre you'd say this falls in?
It's definitely a drama with some comedy, I would say in the dark variety, but the plot gets a little scattershot at times. It goes and meanders in a lot of different directions. It could have used some trimming in the editing department, but vibrant direction here. It's got a really bold aesthetic and really compelling acting, once again anchored tremendously by another great role from Natalie Portman.
How many hammers?
I'm going to recommend it. Go 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
A couple movies for you to check out this weekend, and you can